Hey bro, didn't see you in a while. What's your favorite game?
Glad you asked. It's this cool game called...
Fortnite?
Nah. It's actually...
Valorant?
Come on, man. You know
Fall
it's...
Guys? Rocket League? Genshin Impact? Roblox?
I'm sorry. Excuse me for a minute. Yeah, you're probably wondering why a young person like me would even be interested in Halo. I mean, most of the people that I watch play Halo are like triple my age, and the game itself is so much older than me. That aside, my journey with Halo began when my dad gave me a cracked version of Halo CE. That barely ran on my ancient Windows 98. I didn't really care until I put my hands on it for the first time. And boy oh boy was it something. Now why did Halo leave such an impact on me, you may ask? You know what, let me go piece by piece. And you're probably wondering why I'm even mentioning the graphics. It's a goddamn 2001 game. What is there to even talk about? Well, let me just explain it to you. Even though I had access to far prettier and visually better games like Black Ops, Modern Warfare, Crysis, and hell, even GTA 5, Halo still had that charm, that rustic appeal. Even though it's like a decade older than these games, in my eyes, honestly, it aged pretty well. So what do you think I felt like being 6 and playing this, to playing as a 7-foot super soldier bashing through aliens? You get the point. But seriously, how the hell do you fit in amazing graphics, kick-ass, action-packed gameplay, and awesome storytelling all in one? It's simply a masterpiece of a game. But first, I have to cover what makes Halo so visually stunning and important. I mean, first of all, the atmosphere in every level is fine-tuned to said level. What do I mean by that? Well, look at the start. You wake up in a grey, man-made, sterile environment, perfectly telling you that you are in a facility of some sort. But the mission right after, you're stranded in a strange, wide world, with the only artificial thing being your crashed life pod. Each level is designed so the player understands his circumstances, no matter what. For example, you won't go into 343 Guilty Spark being like, "Oh hell yeah, I'm gonna kick some ass." Instead, you're slightly unnerved by the dead Covenant laying around, and worse yet, dead Marines. It makes you wonder what or who caused this. Compare that to the Silent Cartographer. You're immediately cutting through the ocean with 2 pelicans, the beachhead is filled with enemy bastards, and your objective is clear. Kill! But I'm trying to say that the text clearly wasn't the groundwork for each level. And alongside the fact that Master Chief himself is this silent protagonist who doesn't say unnecessary dialogue during gameplay.
This is so weird. Where am I? Headshot. Grenade out. Reloading.
That just doesn't feel right. The game simply wants you to be in the mindspace of Chief, to interpret things how you want to. With all that said, let's dive deeper into the core fun aspects of the gameplay. Most games today have a super wide range of gameplay and complexity, which Halo covers even better by just being more simple. If a game needs to have sliding and wall running and all that kind of shit, then the game wasn't even good to begin with. Let me clear it up for you. Halo's gameplay is straightforward and it fits perfectly with the Chief's persona. It's beefy and it's simple, all I could ask for. The only downside being the fact that the movement has a very weird sense of friction. When you play, you don't really notice it, but sometimes you can tell that the movement is a bit slippery. That being said, it's the only downside I can really cover. Now I can move to the real core of Halo. It's kick-ass guns. Halo has a big variety of guns, with each one being unique in its own right. Human guns like the AR and pistol and whatnot have their Covenant counterparts, like the Plasma AR and the Plasma pistol. But even though they're similar in name, they all serve their own functions. For example, the AR is used for more fast-paced scenarios, whilst the pistol is a more versatile weapon. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. For example, you can combine both human and Covenant guns to create some lethal combos, like smashing the Elite's shield with a Plasma pistol, then headshotting him with a regular one. Or use the Plasma AR for taking out multiple Jackal shields, then wrecking them with the regular AR. Plus, not to mention the versatility of the Sniper and Rocket Launcher. They all have their own ups and downs, so you can't really rely on one weapon the entire run. Sure, the Sniper is awesome in every field, but there's hardly any ammo, and you don't even have it in some missions. Same with the Rocket Launcher. It's a fantastic weapon for both troops and vehicles, but it can only carry a very small amount of ammo, and it's not the easiest to come by. And, in my personal opinion, Bungie's choice to limit these guns and make them more of a luxury is what makes Halo such a fun experience. I mean, if you had the best guns immediately ready for you, the game would become stale immediately. With that said, let's talk about the enemy types and their behavior. Let's start first with the most common enemy, the Grunt. These fellas are thrown about in every level. They're nothing more than cannon fodder in most cases, but you should never underestimate their capability in bigger numbers. 1 or 2, hell even 3 pose no real issue, but if you encounter more than 4 or 5, you might end up dead or blown to bits due to their sheer numbers. Plus, they're the only kind of troop that can throw nades, besides the Spec Ops elite. God, I hate them. And it's kind of interesting how their AI behaves. When you kill the elite in their group, they tend to run around and panic, and they also got some funny one-liners. Now on to the most annoying enemy, also known as the Jackal. These guys tend to stick around in the back and pick you off with their deadly rapid fire shots, or even worse, their Titanic charge shots, which can absolutely decimate your shields. They are particularly annoying due to the fact their shields deflect almost every human round, only being hurt when you hit through their tiny shield spot. By far the best tactic is to try and melee them because of their low health and long flinching animation. But keep in mind, they're never alone, most likely in groups of 3 or more, which makes it so much more annoying, yet fun and challenging. And how can I not go without mentioning Chief's main counterpart, the Elite? The Elites are by far the most ferocious fighting force the Covenant has to offer. They can melt your health just as easily as the rest, but where the Elite differs from others is his technique. Grunts and Jackals have a very certain style they stick to, but the Elite can do everything they can and even more. Being able to shoot from afar and smack you up close, also having the most intelligent and capable AI, having the ability to take cover so they can regenerate their shields, and also suicidally charging at you when you stick a nade to them. Now on to Hunters, the biggest in the Covenant arsenal. They appear throughout the campaign as a sort of mini-boss to keep you on your toes. Though they always come in pairs, only one is enough to send you flying. They are equipped with a fuel rod gun and a giant shield which is indestructible. Even though Hunters have the most health, it comes with the downside of not being so mobile and having predictable movement with not so creative attack patterns. I mean, just to mention, they are highly buffed in later Halo entries, but now we can cover the scariest of the bunch, the Flood.
Oh God! Get it off! Someone get it off! No!
And now for something completely different.
These abominations from space come in many forms, beginning with the ones who spread the infection form. Even though they are weak and can be killed once with any weapon, having the capability to immediately drain your health if your shield is down. But their main strategy isn't to kill you themselves. Instead, they infect and control other bodies, which is how the other forms operate. Speaking of which, the second in the Flood chain is the Carrier form. These balloons of pestilence are slow and quite weak, carrying many little infection forms inside them, which alters their movement. But they make that up by being a pseudo-suicide bomber, detonating when coming in range and releasing the infection forms, also dealing heaps of damage. And the last in command is the most capable of all forms, that being the combat forms. They have a vast range of abilities, like a giant leap into the air, having melee, and even being able to use guns. Sometimes they can even rise from death when you least expect it. But as fearsome as they are, they don't really have complex strategies. Instead, using their sheer numbers as their main advantage, unleashing unstoppable hordes onto the land they want to conquer. That's it for this summary. Now I can talk about the most engaging part of Halo, its story. Halo follows quite a linear storyline, with the story being simple and easy to grasp. I'm going to try my best to summarize it without going into too much detail. But if you want a sole video covering the story alone, I'll be glad to do that, because I honestly love the lore.
She is very gorgeous to me!
And would be glad to make a full video covering it. But let's get back to the story at hand. We begin with the UNSC ship Pillar of Autumn jumping through slip space from planet Reach to this unknown ring world in order to protect Cortana. She is vital for the Human Covenant war effort because she contains the coordinates to Earth, humanity's most prized planet. Meanwhile, with the Covenant hot on their tails, Captain Keyes initiates a cold protocol. As the Covenant start to board the ship, Keyes decides to wake Chief from his cryo-sleep in order to keep Cortana safe. Chief, now accompanied with Cortana, clears the necessary space throughout Autumn's quarters so he can safely board a lifepod, shooting through the Pillar of Autumn and crash landing on Halo. Unfortunately, Chief remains the only survivor in his pod, with the current goal of finding other survivors spread throughout the area. Meanwhile, Keyes successfully crash lands the Autumn in another corner of the ring, being captured shortly after and being held captive in a Covenant cruiser named Truth and Reconciliation. Chief, managing to rescue some survivors and with Cortana gaining some information as to where Keyes is being held, gathers a group of Marines that locate and infiltrate the cruiser, rescuing the captain and making their escape. On the cruiser, Captain Keyes managed to somehow understand as to what Halo's true purpose is, that being a superweapon on a galactic scale. Chief is then given the task of locating Halo's control room before the Covenant, successfully doing so and repulsing the remaining Covenant on his way. In the control room, Cortana manages to gather all the information about Halo she can. Before learning the dark truth about Halo, she gets the grave information that the weapon cache Keyes is looking for isn't quite what it seems, and sends Chief to stop him before it's too late.
I don't understand.
There's no time. Get out of here, find Keyes, stop him. Before it's too late!
Chief then arrives in a swampy and eerie area, leaving Cortana behind. As he digs deeper into the facility, he finds the helmet and recording chip of one of his fellow Marines. After looking through the footage, Chief realizes he's dealing with a much worse threat than the Covenant, known as the Flood. After fighting through these hellish enemies, he makes his way back up the facility and meets up with the monitor of this ring world, aptly named 343 Guilty Spark. Spark explains to him how to eradicate the Flood, and with the aid of Chief, they acquire the key to activating Halo. But as they are about to activate the ring, Cortana steps in, snatching the key, and telling the dark truth about Halo, which is that its true purpose is destroying all sentient life in the galaxy, making the Flood unable to spread without its food. Chief, siding with Cortana, decides to destroy the ring by detonating the Pillar of Autumn, while the Monitor puts his best efforts to stop them. Cortana then informs Chief about how to detonate the Autumn, which requires Captain Keyes' neural implants. They manage to locate Keyes, and on their way find out that he is already fully infected by the Flood. They proceed to acquire the neural implants nonetheless, by ripping it out of his skull.
It's done. I have the code.
They then manage to make their way to the Pillar of Autumn and locate the reactor room, and successfully destroy the reactors, causing a meltdown. After that, they proceed to a hangar where the last sword fighter is docked, escaping just in time as the Pillar of Autumn blows, taking the ring world with it. Now, I have to admit, Halo's story is by no means perfect, having some flaws and weird funks. Like, how the hell did Keyes manage to figure out what Halo is, knowing that elites don't even speak English?
Halo, Covenant, fate of the universe. Halo, Covenant.
Neither did the Covenant themselves know that Halo is a super weapon, besides the Prophets of course, but yeah. And why does Cortana have only a one-time use of the teleportation grid? But that aside, I'd say Halo's storyline is still fantastic nonetheless. Now that we finished with the story, I can talk about my personal favorite, the music. And in case you're wondering what that majestic piece of music was playing throughout this video, it was just some of the best soundtracks ever created. And behind that fantastic work and talent was the one and only Marty O'Donnell, crafting each piece of music so it fits perfectly with each level, like certain parts of the soundtrack blending in seamlessly in their current situation. Or how the music lowers in tone when you are entering tightly packed structures, like in Assault on the Control Room, or moving throughout the hallways in the Covenant ship. Or most prominent in 343 Guilty Spark, where the entire mission itself is eerie and spooky. Or in the opposite direction, how it hits its high when you are at the peak of intensity. But what I'd like to point out is the lack of music in some areas. It elevates the environment and makes you more observant of your surroundings, which I find to be an amazing touch by the developers. And that brings us to the end of this video. I can say with full certainty that Halo is my all-time favorite video game. And if you disagree,
I will find you. And I will kill you.
Anyways, I think it's time to wrap this video up. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you have any ideas or want to ask questions, feel free to put them in the comments down below. I'd also like to share the fact that this is my first video, so if you'd like to give me any tips on how to improve, please let me know.